work, we have this assessment point here. You are going to attempt it as part of our continuation of customer care module, and it is part of the assessment that we do for this particular module. So make sure you attempt this assessment. Then chapter number 5, we are going to be dealing with customer complaints. As you know, customers will have different complaints depending on the dissatisfaction that they have received. So that's why we begin by asking ourselves, what is a complaint? And we are saying it is an expression of dissatisfaction with any good or service. Yeah. So it might originate from an internal or external customer, and can be expressed verbally or in writing. So verbal complaints, grievances. We are saying people on the front line who interact with customers need to be familiar with the guidelines for handling verbal complaints. It is important to keep in mind that complaints should be handled promptly, accurately. It may just be a misunderstanding or lack of information, and efficiently or efficiency. So you need to be able to handle that verbal or those verbal complaints. There are quite a number. So which are number 1? So what do you need to do? Number 1 is allow the customer to hear or express their complaint in peace while you patiently listen. That is a very important criteria you need to undertake, or step that you need to do. Number 2, even if you disagree with the customer's point of view, you need to first acknowledge. Very many people are not good when it comes to acknowledging mistakes. So you need to acknowledge, and where possible, number 3, you can be able to apologize. Then number 4, decide what has to be done to solve the issue and find a solution. Number 5 is keep the complainant updated. A lack of knowledge might make the issue worse. The other one is find a short solution to the current issue before looking for a longer term one. And number 7 is follow up and make sure that the promised activity occurs. So there are those complaints that you have to promise customers that you're going to get back to them. So you need to make sure that you do that follow up and make sure you get back to them. Then complaints procedures. The majority of businesses, whether they are small family businesses, massive government agencies, or multinational corporations, have some sort of procedure in place to handle client complaints. However, just because there is a process in place does not automatically guarantee that it will be either efficient or effective at resolving whatever the issue is in a way that satisfies both customer and the organization. So we have a number of procedures that we need to follow. Customer handling steps. There are those grievances or complaints that you cannot respond to immediately. So there must be a series of steps. Some organizations will begin by recording the complaint, and then they will also assign that complaint a number or a code, or a reference code, so that you can be able to get feedback at the appropriate time. So a complaints method should outline a clear path for determining what exactly offended a client to the point where they felt compelled to file a formal complaint. So we're also saying a complaint procedure should be part of an overall management policy. So we need to have serious organizations that are aware of customer care. They need to have a complaint management policy. That policy explains how the organization undergoes its issues around complaints raised. So we are saying, once we do this, it is a tool for improving relations with customers or clients. And number B, it enables providing information that contributes to improvements. And we are saying the prompt and sympathetic handling of complaints can turn a disgruntled customer into a happy and longer lasting customer. And we are also saying that research has shown that people whose complaints are fully dealt with tend to be more loyal. So if you respond to customer complaints effectively, what you are doing is that you are bringing this customer close, because you are simply telling them that you are aware of their issue and you are working to solve that particular issue. And then you're also saying that it is vital that all staff are familiar and comfortable with the organization's complaints procedures, so that they are prepared to receive complaints and to start converting the customer from dissatisfied to satisfied. So we have a procedures checklist. The following checklist outlines the key features for handling complaints in a small or large organizations. Number A is establish a common approach to handling complaints. So we need to have a common way of doing it within the organization setup. It should be something that is uniform. Uniformity and a common approach means you are treating everybody fairly within the organization. Then have a standard complaints form. So we can develop, or you can develop a form, or an organization can develop a form where somebody who is offended or is having a complaint can be able to come up with a form. So this is a great valuable tool in ensuring full details are disclosed on the form. Then a complaint form should include the following information. So that we have how we develop a complaint form. What information do we put there? Roman 1, product or service and receipt details. Businesses nowadays are producing receipts. So maybe somebody has a receipt. Sometimes you will go to the supermarket and the one who is doing the packaging will leave an item on the counter, on the cashier's counter. They have not packaged. So when you get to your house and when you realize, my yogurt is not here. So you need to raise a formal complaint, and part of it is provide evidence for the receipt. What the supermarket is going to do, of course, nowadays they have CCTV cameras. They can be able to retrieve back to that particular time that you are buying, and they can be able to see whether it's true or not. So product or service and receipt details, description, date bought and received, staff involved. So you can mention that. Customer details, so you can provide your name, contact details, identifier such as an account number. Maybe it's in a bank setup where you are giving your complaint. And then we have complaint details, reason for complaint, action required, action agreed, staff dealing with the complaint. This makes sure that we can be able to follow up. And then the date action completed and sign off by the line manager. That one is to confirm that the complaint has been taken care of. Then ensure, number C is ensure complaints are assessed correctly. On receipt of the complaint, the recipient should think of it as an opportunity for a second chance to satisfy the customer rather than a threat. So staff should do the following. They need to be cautious and they need to be conscious and empathize with the customer. When you are empathizing with someone, it simply means you are putting yourself in their shoes, and you are trying to now assist them, because next time it could be you in another business or in another place that you are buying an item. Then the other one is be satisfied with the information. It is factual. So the information that provided, it also needs to be factual. We also need to be aware, maybe there are those that are bringing complaints that are not factual. That's why now you have to get on a fact-finding mission. And the other one is let the customer voice their feelings fully. And the other one is take responsibility for checking out what happened. though without admitting to any liability or fault at this stage. Number D is establish ownership and responsibility. Staff should be empowered to take appropriate action if the complaint is clearly justified. So you take responsibility. And another way that we can go about this is establish escalation procedures. So we just establish procedures on how we need to have this complaint sorted. If it is something that you cannot handle, that's why we are saying you can consult a higher authority within the business or the company. The production of a detailed report on the events. So the report will also be very important, and then contact with the organization's solicitor or lawyer. There are complaints that will take us to even reaching out to the organization's lawyers, those major complaints. The other one is emphasize customer contact for complaint resolution. So you need to be in touch with the customer, updating them on the steps where you have reached into resolving the complaint. The other one is ensure complaint forms, if used, are signed off. So signatures are important to verify that whoever launched the complaint is the actual person, is the actual account holder if it's in a bank setup. So you need to do this by also informing the customer that expectations exceed capabilities, reaffirm what steps can be taken, state that the report will be passed to senior management, and so on and so forth. And then build in customer satisfaction checks. We are saying after an appropriate interval, contact the customer to confirm that the complaint was resolved to the customer satisfaction, and to check that the organization still has a customer. Then the other one is decide on internal corrective action. So once you deal with the complaint, now you have to, within the organization setup, see that that issue does not arise again. So if it was an issue contributed by an internal staff, we need to now sort it, but no any other customer will come with such a complaint. Then we have the best practices in handling consumer complaints or handling complaints. Number one, we need to take responsibility. We need to remain objective. Sometimes customers will come when they are really emotional and they are making noise left, right, and center. We need to stick to the issues around the complaint. The other one is showing empathy, understand how the other person feels is not the same as agreeing with you. So you need to show that you sympathize with them. That is what we are emphasizing on that point. And also provide a listening ear. That is what we are saying, listening carefully, and then resolving the problem. So you need to explore all avenues that are there in order to be able to resolve the problem. And then remember that when customers complain, they like to be, number A, aware of who is dealing with the complaint. So let them know that. Then listened to and believed. So you need to give them a listening ear, treat them fairly and efficiently, keep them informed of the progress. And the other one is compensated if compensation is appropriate. So that is the end of that topic on customer complaints and how to deal with complaints. Ensure that you also read through the notes and also research extensively on other avenues that organizations can be able to explore so that they can be able to deal with customer complaints.